Hey everyone, it is Saturday, June the 3rd, around 10:30 a.m. and this is my first of 2 hikes today, hopefully. My first hike is in the Black Mountains of North Carolina, and I'm not really going for views. This is a shorter hike. I am trying to peak bag 2 or 3 peaks over 6,000 feet as part of my pursuit to finish the South Beyond 6,000 challenge this year. These are 3 peaks in the southern Black Mountains that are trailless. They have some old forest roads and bushwhack type trails, but no official trails go over the summits, so they're not popular areas. I started on Highway 128 north of Black Mountain Gap, which is the entrance of Mount Mitchell State Park, and I am following the Mountains to Sea Trail west, and this skirts the cliffs of Patton Knob, which is a dominant feature in this area along the Blue Ridge Parkway, but it skirts under the cliffs, and from a western ridge I'm supposed to follow an old game trail to the forested summit. From there, there's supposed to be a mixture of old forest roads and wildlife boundary trails towards Clingmans Peak, which you'll see in a lot of my videos because it is adorned with a lot of communications towers. And from there, if I have time, I'll continue to Mount Gibbs, which is the third of this cluster of peaks over 6,000 feet, and then turn around and head back. Hopefully it should take under 3 hours. To qualify for a South Beyond 6,000 peak, you have to do a hike of at least 5 miles. So this hike, I don't know if it's 5 miles. I'll have to figure out a way to do it, maybe by walking on the Mountains to Sea Trail a little bit further than I need to. But hopefully it'll be quick, and then I could get on to my primary destination later, which will have some views. Got a nice viewpoint on the trail here of one of my favorite collection of peaks, Pinnacle on the left, Rocky Knob, and Graybeard Mountain. I love that area. I'm around the 5,700 foot mark, and rhododendron is blooming. Actually, some of it's already dying. So looks like if I don't get out to the Roan Highlands by next week, all of this stuff will be dead. I'm at a really cool spot along the trail that I see commonly referred to as the Potato Knob Fields or the Potato Knob Meadows. And at the end of it is this series of outcrops. The grassy area is behind me. We get a really great view towards the Burnett Reservoir, and then the parkway snaking along the Black Mountains here, and the great Craggy Mountains due west. The biggest peak dead center is Craggy Dome. On the left of that, the flat area is Craggy Gardens, and on the right, that's Bullhead Mountain. Then behind me, where the trail is, you get a really outstanding view of Patton Knob, and those are the cliffs that you see from the parkway and many viewpoints around here. Apparently there's a historic trail called the Gray Eagle Rock Trail that goes right up the face of that. I've been looking out for it, but I couldn't really see anything that would be a trail. But it's a class 2, class 3 scramble, and there's a Gray Eagle Rock that juts out from those cliffs that I've seen in pictures. But that's a hike led by the Swananoa museum in this area and you have to pay for it, and I think it's really hard to find that trail unless you're with that group. But the Mountains to Sea Trail is going to go towards that notch, and then I'm going to bushwhack or follow a boundary trail along that ridge to the top. I'm on the Scramble boundary trail to Potato Knob. Sometimes it's really easy to follow like this, and other times there's a lot of just misdirection, but the forest is quite beautiful up here. Very thick pine needle and moss coverage with a lot of untouched forest, it seems. At the top of Potato Knob in a super dense southern Appalachian spruce forest. But you know, as I got close to the top, this trail became much more obvious. You know, and there's multiple trails along the top here, even though it's really in the middle of nowhere. I have it listed as 6,400 feet even, which seems a little too perfect, but it is around the 6,400 contour line. This is actually an unranked peak. It doesn't count for the 6,000 foot list because the tallest peak in this cluster is Mount Gibbs, but it is a county high point, so that counts for something. And either this boulder or that boulder is the actual summit, so I'm just gonna go tap it with my hand. But then from here, I gotta figure out my way north through the trees to Clingmans Peak. I think there used to be a better route through here. Sometimes there's a decent trail, and other times there's a lot of crap. There's a lot of dead trees from numerous blights and a ton of deadfall from probably strong winds. So it's not, Clingmans Peak is not far away, but I have to get over all this crap and through briars. This boundary trail through here is pretty awesome after I escaped that terrible area of deadfall. Really narrow V just surrounded by green moss and Fraser firs and red spruce. Really cool. I'm at the open field south of the peak, and this is an old stone cabin that is pretty well known, and either this or both cabins towards the top are on private property. I believe part of the Big Tom Wilson Preserve, which is a massive hunting game lands down here on the left. So this is kind of the risky trespassing that you have to do to get to the top. I doubt there's anyone up here. If there is, I'll ask them if I could just pass on through. Otherwise, I'll just be quiet and try to avoid any private property signs. But there's also a lot of dead trees here on the right. Part of the woody adelige, whatever that bug's name is, that blight. Here's the nice cabin, nice stone. I don't see any cars or private property, so I'm just gonna swing around it and follow the forest road up to the top. But you actually get some really good views from here to the west, northwest. That peak in the distance there is Big Butt. And then we have Blackstock Knob and Potato Knob, where I just came from. I made it to the top of Clingmans Peak, 6,520 feet. And actually, there's some really awesome views up here. It's kind of disappointing that this is fenced in and marred by communications towers. But if you go to the edges of each of these grassy areas, you'll get big open views, almost 360 degrees. I did have to do some trespassing. Definitely don't advocate this, but from on the backside of the mountain is surrounded by this tall fence that has barbed wire on top. There are no actually private property or no trespassing signs at all, but I actually crawled under the gate. So I have to figure out my way to get out of here on my way to Gibbs. But there's Blue Ridge Parkway way down below with Pinnacle rising above, and then the main hump in that direction is a green knob. Can barely see the fire tower, and you have Linville Gorge in the distance there, and Mount Mitchell right across to the north. I'm gonna walk around for a bit. I don't see anyone up here. Really awesome view. Towards the west is the great Craggy Mountains in this direction. Blackstock Knob and Point Misery, Little Butte, and Big Butte surrounding the Cane River Valley. And there's Mount Gibbs right there, my next destination. Now I see why it's fenced. There's been no signs other than this one. It's for safety purposes. The radio frequency and probably the microwave frequency exceeds the safety limit. Oh well, wasn't up there long. I think I've done worse. But it was actually really easy to exit on this side. I just rolled right under the gate. Here is the forested summit of Mount Gibbs. Also 6,520 feet, but I think it might be a few feet higher than Clingmans Peak, which may be rounded. This is the ranked peak on this three knob ridge line. Clingmans Peak does not count for the challenge list, and this does. So I believe this is a few feet higher, and it has the higher prominence. So that's my third 6,000 footer of the day. And what I'm going to do, instead of my original plan, which was just to turn back around and head back the way I came, I wasn't really fond of going through all those thorns and deadfall, and this time I'd probably have bushwhack around the fence. I think it would take longer. I think I'm just going to keep continuing north to Steps Gap down here. Just get back on the forest road that connected to Clingmans Peak, and just drop down the Steps Gap, which is the park office. And if I want, I can just do a quick half-mile peak bag of Mount Hallback, which I haven't done yet either, and that's ranked. Or I can just follow Highway 128 back to the car, which would be about a mile road walk, but it'd be so much quicker and easier. This forest road down to Steps Gap has incredible views constantly to the west of the Craggies, Blackstock, Big Butte, and the Cane River. Really awesome road walk. This is Steps Gap, which is the entrance to Mount Mitchell State Park. And that's the park office right there. And I've decided I'm going to go ahead and climb up to Mount Hallback straight ahead of me, because it's only about a 350 foot climb in under 2,000 feet from here. And half of it's on a real trail. So it should be pretty quick, about 15 minutes. And then I'll turn around and follow the road out. And hopefully the road has enough shoulder for me to be safe. Here at the top of Mount Hallback, forested summit, says it's 6,391 feet on the sign, and the challenge list on Carolina Mountain Club's website, I believe, says 6,329, or else I wrote that down wrong on my phone. It's supposed to be 92 instead of 29, but it is above the 6360 contour, so this is probably correct. That's my fourth 6,000 foot peak of the day and second one on the list. So I'm gonna go ahead and hurry on back to the car. Here's Mount Gibbs, rising high over Steps Gap, and Pinnacle and Graybeard Mountain on the left. Nice view on the way back down on the old Mitchell Trail. Finished with the hike. The road walk was a little longer than expected. It was around 1.7 miles. Took me about 30 minutes because I had to keep crossing shoulders to get to safer areas because it's really busy today. First weekend of June, it's actually National Trails Day, and the state parks always are really busy on those days. Overall, it was a 6.8 mile hike. It took me about 3.5 hours, and a lot better views than I expected. I was just really doing this for the peak bagging, and there's definitely some worthwhile views along Potato Knob if you trespass on Clingmans Peak, and the road below Mount Gibbs, and a little stretch of trail up to Mount Hallback. So if you're doing a peak bag, you can kind of do my route or do a modification. Just know that unless you want to trespass, you're gonna have to bypass Clingmans Peak by bushwhacking around the whole gate. So just about 2 o'clock, I'm a little behind schedule. I'm about to do my longer hike of the day. Better hurry up.